Okay, it's good. Is the mic on? Hi, I'm Zach Bermejo. I'm here at, what are we here for? I was on campus yet again because I heard there was going to be some protests and I wanted to see what it was all about. Turns out there was this guy named Charlie Kirk who was speaking on campus about free market values, and people were not too happy with that.
Challenging Charlie, tonight's speaker, don't be apathetic. Do you know Jesus' first followers were socialists? They actually lived communally like communists. Charlie claims he's a Christian. He doesn't understand what Christianity is.
Interesting. So not only were there going to be protesters of this Charlie guy, but also protesters protesting the Charlie guy, which I know that's kind of confusing. So people were kind of worried about these other protesters because it was reported that they were part of something called the Traditionalist Workers' Party, which is associated with Nazism, apparently. What can you tell me about Charlie Kirk as someone? I've never heard of this guy before a few days ago.
I can only speak for me personally.
Okay.
It's like, for me, it's that his views and his things tend to draw groups that disagree with him, and when his group and the other groups get together, there's a huge potential for violence and property damage.
So I went inside to get more information, and I happened upon this list of prohibited items for the event. And on that was barbecue grills, which made me wonder if that's been a problem for them in the past. Anyway, cookouts aside, the important thing is that I found this girl who was the social media manager for Turning Point USA at this school, and she answered a few questions about the protest.
So we have Antifa here, and they are protesting our group because we are slightly conservative. Sometimes that's associated with the far right ideals like the neo-Nazi party, and that's the Traditionalist Workers' Party, and they're here to counter-protest the Antifa protesters. So we don't associate with them or condemn anything they do, obviously. I think it's just a lot of extreme sides getting really hyped up. We're just going to talk about like money and economics. We're not even going to talk about like race or divisive issues.
According to my research that I've done, and that's not a whole lot to be quite honest, Charlie Kirk, the guy speaking, is 24 years old, and he is the founder of the group called Turning Point USA. Now, what that group does is that they are a non-profit conservative group. Charlie goes around to all these college campuses and he speaks to students about capitalism, essentially. He's not someone who agrees with this ideology known as socialism. In fact, he seems to devote a lot of time to smashing it up. Here's a clip from his official YouTube channel. Hopefully this gives you a taste of what his beliefs are.
Women are doing much better than men, actually, in America. And I'm okay with it because it's a byproduct of making good choices, actually. It's a byproduct of women doing the 3 things you have to do to stay out of poverty in America, which is to get married before you have kids, which is to get a job, and to graduate high school. Women do all 3 of those things a lot better than men.
There's a lot more videos on his channel that I, should probably watch, but I mean, there's a lot of other YouTubers that have posted some good content recently, so I mean, you know, I'm gonna play favorites here. I'm not gonna lie. I went back outside, and luckily Jose was there because I was getting really embarrassed walking around with my iPhone. Jose, nice of you to show up finally.
I know.
I've had to interview people without you on my phone.
Oh, you're already doing that?
What were you even doing?
I was getting the microphone. See? It's kind of crooked because of the dog that bit it.
Before we could interview anyone, Erin approached us, and she had to have her say on the matter.
Don't mic me on this. I'm just trying to maintain a professional presence here.
Things seemed professional on her end. I don't know what she was worried about. Maybe she just wanted to say hi?
I just want to make sure that you're not going to ask ridiculous questions.
Was Fidel Castro's son's death, was that kind of like a big win for you guys? Why would I do that?
Because you're making a vlog.
I just don't get why people don't take vloggers seriously these days.
Are you getting a lot of traction? How's it going?
I'm nowhere near Logan Paul's numbers. I haven't done anything quite that stupid yet.
You could do something stupid here as long as you're not saying you're with...
Okay, well, for time's sake, I'm just going to fill in the rest of what she said. Essentially, she didn't want people to think I was there with the school paper, but that kind of didn't make sense to me because I only found out last week that the school even had a paper.
You were here for 4 years. You never read that paper?
We have a paper?
Is this your stolen video camera.
Aaron, why do you suddenly want to know so much about my life?
I know it's going to be like a snippet of me saying something a little bit like self-deprecating towards you, and then it's going to cut to it.
People started to gather, and I was trying to find out more about this Charlie guy and why people were actually there. What's this event? What are we here for?
I hear there's some fascist people, anti-socialist speaker event.
What does fascist mean?
I haven't done as much research on that as I would like.
Same. Siri, define fascist. The person who is extremely right. No, not. Oh gosh. Basically, someone who's extremely right-wing or authoritarian is what I got. Yeah, right-wing. People here are protesting you guys, but then you're protesting Charlie. Is that how it's working out?
I don't know what everyone else is here for. I know I'm protesting Charlie. I've heard there's a counter-protest to our protest, and there's protests to other protests, and just everyone's just kind of out here to engage in some dialogue.
So we're the Young Democratic Socialists. We're out here tabling for democratic socialism. Charlie Kirk, who's a conservative provocateur, he's kind of a dumbass.
You know, I would be a little annoyed by that, but we kind of threw being advertiser-friendly out the window a while ago.
So anyway, he's inside talking about what he believes socialism to be, lambasting it. We're out here trying to dispel those myths, talk about what democratic socialism is.
Fidel Castro's son died, right? How do you feel about that?
I was not aware. I also don't really have an opinion.
Yeah, we didn't really have much of one either, so we decided to look up a little bit more about it. Fidelito Castro. That's my cousin's name. Oh, no way? Oh, I think I actually have a cousin named Fidelito too. Are we cousins? No. Aren't we all cousins? So there was a lot of talk about Nazis, and I was determined to find out if they were actually there or not. What's a neo-Nazi look like?
Like the new form of Nazis?
Futuristic Nazi, like a cyberpunk kind of Nazi?
I would hope not, although that'd be super interesting.
You look kind of like a superhero right now.
Oh, thank you.
You know, it reminds me of cosplays I'd see at Comic-Con. Okay, I'm not saying this guy's a Nazi, but he looked like the closest thing to cyberpunk. Do either of you know what a Nazi looks like?
Not unless they're wearing a swastika.
If I had to guess who they are, I would guess it's that group of guys over there.
Oh, the red hats? So I was about to experience firsthand that not everyone is really thrilled about talking in front of the camera.
If you're with Proud Boys, no talking to them.
Okay, I'm going to talk to them. What brings you here today?
To listen to viewpoints from both sides.
What are the two sides that are here right now? It seems to be a little bit messy as to what's going on.
Left and right, liberal and conservative, or libertarian.
This guy speaking here, his name's Charlie, right?
You know what? I don't know. I believe so. Charlie Kirk. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm focused on my business.
What are you an entrepreneur in?
The cannabis industry, actually.
Oh, hey.
Not on me, but yeah, hemp specifically.
Before I could ask this man for a job, their group's leader decided to cut the interview short and move to a different piece of ground. However, these guys didn't really seem like Nazis despite what the other group said about them, and I was still curious to learn more about their stuff. I found this group of guys who were staring at them, and they seemed to know a little bit more than I did. Those guys Nazis?
I think they're called the Poi Boys. It says it on their jackets.
Poi Boys?
Poi Boys. I think that they're white nationalists. We were reading their page, and they have a 4-step initiation process. And the final one is that they have 5 other members beat the shit out of them until they can name 5 cereals.
Well, I thought the best idea then was to go directly to the source to try and confirm this information, and here's what happened. I saw your jacket earlier. What does it say on the back?
POYB.
You don't need to, but...
Is it true that you guys, initiate people with cereal or something?
You can look it up.
No, you laughed. It's like, that's a rumor I heard. I didn't believe it.
You seem friendly, but...
Yeah, we're kind of focused elsewhere. We're not trying to be religious.
Okay, yeah. Well, I appreciate... Hey, that was kind of cool. Okay, so I did a little bit of research. These guys are called the Proud Boys, and that's absolutely true. They have a hazing/initiation thing where they punch you, and you have to name 5 cereals in order for them to stop.
You will now name 5 breakfast cereals. 1, 2, 3, go. Cheerios, Rice Krispies, Fruit Loops, Honey Bunches.
That was a really long name to pick. I knew that trying to find a Nazi was probably a lost cause, but I still didn't want to give up. Where are them Nazis at? Where are those people at? I'm trying to find them.
One of them just was over here. He was wearing a black jacket and a gray hat.
They've been dispersed throughout, kind of.
I did not find that to be too helpful. This guy that's speaking here tonight, Charlie something or other.
Charlie Kirk. He's part of the Turning Point USA, which is part of the Traditional Workers Party, which is essentially a neo-Nazi group.
Do I keep smelling weed? I'm sorry. So I think I was probably wasting my time trying to find Nazis. So I started butting in on conversations where people were arguing about issues.
Religious education in public schools, which is not acceptable in my opinion.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to follow all of this right now. I have no idea about a lot of these topics.
Well, when I first saw them, I had a basic heuristic that typically people covering their faces at an event like this are...
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Is it just because it's cold or...
And there have been different groups that go around and try to take pictures of people who think like I think, talk like I talk. I'm trying not to be involved in all that, I guess, as well. So.
You did say you guys wanted to hide your identity, but what are you guys worried about?
Doxing. Exactly. You ever heard of doxing before? If you get involved in politically large movements and you're saying controversial things like this, it's just a better precaution for yourself. And besides, like I said, it's a little bit cold.
Eventually, I started to get to the core of their jumbled conversation.
There is something inherent to communism that caused the famines. It's the inherent tendency of communism to cause a fundamental discoordination of capital and the structure of production that causes people to starve en masse, as we're seeing in Venezuela.
That is myopic at best.
Ever hear of the White Army?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, but the Holodomor,
what the hell do all these things mean?
I'm conceding a point that yes, there have been governments that are ostensibly capitalist. Now, I'd argue more corporatist, less capitalist than I'd like, that have committed atrocities.
Smoke cigarettes indoors.
Why?
That's an important move. Yeah, cigs inside. That's what I believe in.
This was not helpful in understanding anything.
Well, I wanted to come and see the drama. To me, these kind of pseudo-spiritual chants, these mantras that these people are doing behind me.
No Nazis, no KKK, no fascist USA.
This shit slaps.
That's whipping people into a frenzy. I don't think any of us are ready to kill each other right now.
What brings you guys out here then?
Here, you can read this and you can look up these terms.
Social democracy for all, not social corporatism for a few.
Indeed.
Gosh, can you guys give me a list of all these terms I gotta look up? Capitalism bad, capitalism good?
It's a really good way to oversimplify that.
That's a really simplistic form of it.
For shitty oversimplifications, it's pretty good, right?
Do you think there's something good about socialism? And do you think there's something bad about capitalism?
Yes, I do. I used to think that we could have polycentric, decentralized law. We could have different companies running the roads. We could have civil courts managing pollution concerns, and I'm at the point where I'm okay with a little socialism for the roads. I'm okay with a little bit of environmentalism. Let's get the lead out of the air, a little bit of this stuff here and there. Maybe even a social safety net at the very, very local level. There's a lot of nuance, and there's a lot of shit that I really don't know about, and I've been wrong a lot before.
Me too. Let's turn the question on to you. So, what's
something bad about socialism, something good about capitalism?
There's a problem with left unity. There's a lot of infighting in socialist and left-wing groups, which I'd say is probably the biggest issue.
And the good thing about capitalism is, in order to really build a country as big as America, or even to an extent China, you have to have a strong, centralized industry of capitalists that just accrue as much as possible to essentially, if you think about how our railroads were built, you had a lot of capitalists who came in with their own private funding, their own investors, and were able to really, build this country.
Hey, wait a minute. Didn't he have an accent earlier?
Think like I think, talk like I talk. I'm trying not to be involved in all that, I guess, as well. So.
Yeah, kind of sounded like an accent. Anyway, there seem to just be a lot of different groups here, and for all really vastly different reasons. Are we cracking open some cold ones here? What's going on? Is this connected to any of what's happening right now?
Actually, yes. We are exercising our free speech, which is what this entire assembly is about. Saturdays are for the boys because that's what God intended. Today may be Friday, but Saturdays are still for the boys.
So, do you guys care about any of what's going on here today?
Actually, yes. Yes, I do not in any way endorse any sort of oppression. No sexism, nothing. We are simply here exercising our right of free speech.
Do you know who Charlie Kirk is?
Yeah.
Then I found myself in another little pocket of discussion. So what's going on here then? What sparked this whole...
His hat.
Yeah, what's it say?
It says "Make America Great Again."
Isn't? Oh, that's Trump's thing, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. A lot of people don't like his character. I, for some reason, like his character. One of his policies, a lot of things he's did, like created more jobs. I also like the way he's dealing with the economy in relation to the environment. I'm okay with like the defunding EPA or leaving the Paris Peace Accord, Keystone Pipeline, increase in fracking, petroleum revenue.
Why do you like those things?
Okay. Right now, petroleum is the most cost-efficient form of energy right now. I know I'm not against green energy.
I feel like in our conversations, he's had a hard time. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just saying. He's had a hard time with like our complaints about Trump and how he speaks. Specifically, I know we recently were talking about his narcissistic side and how that is like a legitimate psychological issue. He tried to pull up an article that didn't exist to me recently.
Fake news strikes again.
It was great.
Here's the thing. He's narcissistic, okay? I'm not gonna focus on that. I don't really care who he is as a person. I only care about like what he does and who he is as a leader. I like his policies.
What policies?
Okay. Let's get started.
Let's get real into this. Let's go deep.
All right, let's start out with I guess it's not really much policies, but deregulations of the corporations, actually. And surprisingly, if you think about...
Regulations of corporations?
Yeah, is that true? I'm not sure. Can you tell me any policies that he's done, actually? Maybe I could do more, like, adding to it.
No, that's why I'm asking questions, actually, because I don't know. More people just started to jump in.
If you don't fundamentally understand the ideology that you're fighting for, you need to examine your own opinion.
Sorry, what ideologies are we fighting for here? I don't...
Are you talking about me or him?
All of us, everyone.
We're fighting for anti-fascist views. Charlie's absolutely, under the guise of liberty, trying to make sure that other people's voices are silenced through social and economic oppression.
He's part of the white nationalist movement, which is labeled a hate group.
Wait.
You can look it up.
So I talked to some of their people up there. They said they don't promote whatever the neo-Nazi guys are doing here. Why are they rejecting that or turning that down, you think?
This is what the conservative movement in the United States and across Western democracy has always used, is like in the absence of explicit instances of oppression, for some reason there's peace. But Martin Luther King Jr. said that, you know, true peace, real peace, is not just the absence of conflict, it's the presence of justice.
So that got pretty boring, and besides, there was a lot of other people there, too. How is this related to what's going on here?
Well, it's related in terms of the community self-defense against the violent, threatening speech and things like that, threats against entire immigrant communities and things like that. So we are here to help stand up for those groups that are marginalized.
Is the mask just because it's cold out, or is it?
Yeah, the mask is because I'm cold. I'm just skinny.
Oh, so while we're on the topic of fashionable headwear, I noticed these people walking around with green hats. But kind of like the others, they weren't really interested in talking to me.
I'd rather not be like interviewed about it, to be honest.
Well, I just don't know what it is. I'm just trying to figure it out.
It's National Lawyers Guild. You can look them up, and we're basically just here to observe and take notes.
The National Lawyers Guild organization. Just a second. We're actually not supposed to talk to media.
Little did they know I'm just a guy with a YouTube channel. Anyway, I was told to just Google it. That's what everyone's telling me. I can just Google it. What's the even point of going to these events? They may serve as a deterrent to unconstitutional behavior by law enforcement during a demonstration. I found another debate going on, and lo and behold, it was with the same guy.
No, I want to redeem myself because I got roasted last time, and it doesn't look so good for me again.
What are we talking about?
I know where you're coming from.
About war on drugs and how that's going to be targeting more low-income communities and such like marginalized groups. However, the drug usage is about the same, 12%, but the African-American incarceration rate is much higher.
My mind is still fried from the previous debate, and I don't see what this has to do with Charlie anyway. Then the debates just became a lot of this.
So what's that?
I didn't see it.
Go ahead, continue.
All right, well, this has been an interesting debate. I guess I have some things to Google, too.
All right, yeah.
So what are these numbers?
That's millennials for us. We all just pull out our phones and, to use facts we find on the internet to use on our arguments. Jose and I went inside because it was cold and we wanted to recover from hearing people speak in platitudes. But that was short-lived because it seemed like there was some action happening and we wanted to get in on it. Excuse me, which news organization are you with?
Vice.
Are they hiring?
I think that's a no.
We'll, you know, I think with time.
Okay. You tell yourself that.
Are you with Vice?
Yes.
Are you guys hiring right now?
I'm personally not. I'm just.
Oh, how'd you get the job? Did you send in a reel? Getting rejected by Vice was discouraging, but that was short-lived because we finally found what everyone had come here for.
Dude, there's a band.
This Charlie Kirk thing doesn't seem so bad. I don't know what everyone is so upset about.
I think this is the Charlie Kirk band.
He has his own band?
Yeah, I think that's Charlie Kirk.
They're good. Wait, he's Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, dude, he's really good.
We more or less thought we got what we needed, so we decided to head out. Dude, that was a solid set. However, what was going on inside did not seem to match what was happening outside.
Dude, is that a military truck?
Whoa, okay, this is getting serious. Or maybe a bit over our head here. The whole scene just had plenty of people curious.
God's the only one that has the power to change anything.
Be careful, if you get too close, they're gonna hit their shields. No, I think they'll hit it if you get too close. Yeah, see, told you. If I've learned anything from Game of Thrones, it's best not to mess with people who have medieval weapons.
Yeah, they have like fucking war drums.
Okay, let's rewind. You're about to see what was happening at the very same time of this Charlie Kirk performance.
Command all those assembled at this location to immediately disperse. If you do not do so, you may be arrested or subject to other police action. Get the fuck out! Get the fuck out!
Yeah, there's a lot going on here, and part of me's glad I wasn't there because this looks pretty scary. I'm gonna try my best to make sense of all of this, though. This is what a Nazi looks like today. Just someone in black clothing covering their face. And although this man is not wearing a mask, there are plenty of other anti-fascists who employ the same tactics, which makes everything all the more confusing for people like me. The white supremacists were driven off of campus without a fight, more or less, but things did get physically violent between the two groups. And I think that is such a strange thing to happen for such a small town in the year 2018. When I think back on the day and all the people that I ran into, the thought crossed my mind that a lot of people my age hold very strong opinions about the world, but we don't all necessarily have the experience to back it up. We want to know a lot and we think we know a lot, and this seems to be a pretty inescapable problem because we have access to all of the world's information in the palm of our hand. But I think a lot of the time, it is too much for us to hold.
My arms are tired.